Man, what's going on, Marso Mafia? We got When Nickelodeon Was Black. Video by Antonio Speaks. Black Nickelodeon was fire. Fire. And 2010's Nickelodeon was fire too. Don't get it twisted, man. We had Victorious, we had Sam and Cat, we had kind of Zoe 101. Like Zoe 101, like I think its last episode was, I think around the time I was turning 5 or 6, somewhere around there. But yeah, let's get into this and find out why Nickelodeon was so good when it was a bunch of black people on there. Let's get into it, man. Let's go.
When Nickelodeon was black. Do y'all remember this era? From the early 90s up until about the mid 2000s, Nickelodeon was actually Nickelodeon. I'm talking about shows with fully black cast members and seeing full-on representation of black culture. Our music was highlighted, the swag was shown off, and you even had niche cultural references brought up in these shows. It's just so crazy to look back and see how different things are from today. We live in an era now where even the sight of a single black person gets the show labeled as woke, or that character being labeled a DEI hire. Just take a look at this screenshot. Even though it's a video game,
some chud is modding God of War to remove all the black people. I hate when motherfuckers do this shit, bro. There was this one anime, I forgot what it was called, but it had a black person as one of the main characters in the anime. Somebody saw the poster for it and was like, "Oh, I fixed it for you," and they made the black person white.
Sums up how a lot of people feel about us. They truly don't want to see us in no type of media. Anyway, Black Nickelodeon was all by design.
According to the New York Times, a 1989 Nielsen report, the company that does rating, found that blacks spend significantly more time watching television than non-blacks do. Starting in 1990, the networks decided to double down on that black audience. Think ABC with Family Matters, Hanging with Mr. Cooper, and NBC with The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. The company that really went all in was Fox, which was founded only a few years earlier. Fox knew in order to be competitive with the big three, they had to dominate this market. So they picked up In Living Color, Martin, Living Single, then the WB would follow. This strategy lasted pretty much until the late 90s. Around that time, networks started seeing success in team-based dramas. Think One Tree Hill, Gilmore Girls. Coupled with the reality show boom of the early 2000s and competition shows like American Idol, that rating show attracted a multiracial audience. So the networks went in a different direction, which is why we saw a decade-plus gap in the 2000s of little to no black shows.
So Nick's strategy was simple. Use black people in the culture to attract a broader audience and then pivot over time. I call it the Post Malone method.
That is literally textbook definition of the Post Malone method. I swear down. Yeah. You make rap music, you try to bring yourself into the culture, and as soon as you make enough money to satiate yourself, that's when you dump the culture, you dump everything, and you say, "Fuck it, I'm going back to my roots." Or in this case, this nigga went to country, which, by the way, I hear Post Malone's country songs all the time in like grocery store stuff like that. It sounds okay, but it'll never compete with White Iverson and when Post Malone was in his rap era. But I don't even want to give his rap era any like kudos, because this nigga profited off of our culture and then dumped it as soon as it wasn't enough for him. As soon as he satiated himself with all the money he got from the backs of our culture. That's why the only white rapper that I will ever fuck with is Mac Miller, because that nigga stayed 10 toes and stayed true to the culture to the day he died. He ain't do no pivot, no nothing. All these other, actually no, and Paul Wall. Besides Mac Miller and Paul Wall, and maybe slightly Eminem, name me any other white rapper that has been popular in the mainstream that hasn't pivoted, that hasn't done the Post Malone method. Name me him. Oh wait, you silent? Exactly. You can't name him because they don't exist. They don't fucking exist. They use our culture and then they leave.
Now today we're gonna take a look back at some of these classic Nickelodeon shows and take a trip down memory lane. Now disclaimer, I am a 2001 baby, so a lot of these shows I may have fuzzy memory with. Mainly I probably caught these shows while watching reruns.
I'm an 05 baby, so a lot of these shows I might know some of them because I used to stay up late as hell when I was a kid on the weekends, and around like 10, 11 p.m. that was when Nick would go into like sleep mode, and they'd start like putting on some of their older shows, and that's how I started knowing about all that. Kenan and Kel, Rugrats, all of that. That's how I started knowing about those shows, because Nick at Night would come on, and then it would be a lot of the older shows from the era.
And some I may not have even seen at all. Nonetheless, I still want to highlight these classics. And if you remember any of these shows, man, drop a comment down below. No more talking. Let's hop into this video. Now, the first show I want to highlight in this video is All That. Released in 1994 and running all the way up until 2005, this is one of the highest rated Nickelodeon shows back in the 1990s. Now, the cast from season 1 wasn't all black, but it was very diverse. There was great representation, and black people made up the majority. The premise of this show was very simple, though. It was like Saturday Night Live, but for kids. There were fast-paced comedy sketches with recurring characters and catchphrases. Now, the thing that really made this show stand out was the music element and how it highlighted, you know, hip-hop, R&B, which is a huge part of the black culture. The intro song was an absolute classic, sang by the legendary group TLC. Now, towards the end of every episode and all that, there were guest musical performances. And I'll list off just a few that were featured on the show. Aaliyah, Brandy, Usher, Monica performances. And I'll list off just a few that were featured on the show. Aaliyah.
Why did they have to take you away, Aaliyah? Why? Why? Fuck. Aaliyah, come back. Damn. Oh, bro. I ain't gonna lie, bro. No one can convince me that her plane going down wasn't an inside job. I ain't gonna talk too much about it. If you guys want me to talk more about it and go in more in depth with why I think it is an inside job, please let me know. But yeah.
Brandy, Usher, Monica,
shout out Monica,
112, Destiny Child, The Brat, Nas, Outkast, Busta Rhymes, Ice Cube. I told y'all, man, it was Nickelodeon. Now, the next show I want to talk about is Kenan and Kel. Airing on Nickelodeon from 1996 to 2001, this series starred Kenan Thompson and Kel Mitchell from their previous show, All That. In this series, there are two best friends that get into all type of crazy adventures in Chicago. Like I stated, I was a 2001 baby, but from the reruns, Kel was always like the crazy one, energetic, sometimes dumb, and then Kenan was more chill and relaxed, but they meshed together perfectly. Just like All That, this show was heavily influenced on hip-hop. The introduction to the show.
Rest in peace, Coolio, bro. Damn.
Show was written and performed by the artist Coolio. And although, man, this show was well received, it even won favorite TV show at the 1998 Kids' Choice Awards. Both Kel and Kenan Thompson are solidified in the culture. They even had some movies together, Good Burger and Good Burger 2. After the show ended, they both had success as well. Kel, not as much as Kenan, he had some rough parts, but overall, I love these brothers. Next up, we have Cousin Skeeter. To be honest with y'all, I never watched this show. But after looking at the cast, like, I have to bring this show up. It was loaded. We got Robert Richard, Bill Bellamy, Megan Good, Rodney Sheridan. All of these people we went on to see have, you know, great or successful acting careers. Running from 1998 to 2001, this is a live-action sitcom blending traditional teen comedy with puppetry. What makes this show different, though, and I've seen a lot of people talk about, was how it represented a different type of black people, the black middle class. In this series, you would see stable family dynamics and teen social life that was rooted in community. In this show, it centers around...
When did this show come out? This might have been the first show that really represented the black middle class until, like, maybe like My Wife and Kids or something. But yeah.
Walker, whose life is disrupted by the arrival of his cousin Skeeter. But despite him being a puppet, he was a part of the family, y'all. He was still a real nigga. And to add the cherry on top, this show once again showed love to the culture. The theme song for Cousin Skeeter was performed by R&B group 702, and it's a whole vibe. Next up, we got Romeo. Airing from 2003
never
all the way
watched
to
this
2006, Romeo is a teen sitcom centered around Romeo Miller, son of Percy Miller, aka Master P, and he is also in this show as well. In this series, we see a confident and musically gifted middle schooler navigating friendship, school, and family life. This is another show that I'm not that too familiar with. I do know much about Romeo though, man. I know in the 2000s, him and Bow Wow had that whole little beef going on. I was young, but I was still tapped in. I probably would have leaned more with Bow Wow though, bro. I don't know. Anyway, in this show, just like all the others, were heavily influenced by hip-hop. Romeo at that time was a rapper, so the show was just a mixture of his real life and, you know, added on things. Now, this next show, I vividly remember it, okay? Just Jordan. Airing from 2007 to just 2008. This was one of the shortest shows on this list. This series follows Jordan James Lewis, a teenager who moves from Arkansas to LA with his mom and sister after his parents divorced. In the new city of LA, Jordan tries to fit in at school, deal with family dynamics, and navigate friendships and some crushes. Before we dive into more of the story, I want to talk about my boy Jordan first. Better known as Lil JJ, my boy was already clouded before this TV show. Now, Lil JJ first came into the spotlight when he won BET's Comedy Talent Search named Coming to the Stage.
Now I'm gonna cry again. And I want y'all to say, what's wrong, JJ? All right, y'all got that? Kelly took my girlfriend.
This was the catalyst to his career, and after this we started seeing him in a lot of notable films. He played as the character Willie in the movie Barbershop, Up in the movie Crossover, and a cast member on Nickelodeon's All That in its 10th season. Now on Just Jordan, many of the plots center around his friends. Tony is a friend that I vividly remember. He was a Asian American. Throughout the show we see them do all types of crazy things, learning how to play karate, giving church performances, and even cosplaying as thugs to pull some girls, bro. Just dumb shit. Another one of his friends in the show is a girl named Tangy. She's also his cousin. Played by Raven Goodwin, we all notably know her from her Disney Channel show where she plays Ivy in Good Luck Charms.
Yeah,
But
I
in
ain't gonna
Just
lie.
Jordan-
One thing that I did realize early as a kid, Disney and Nick had a lot of swap over actors. Like, it's crazy. But there was always beef there, bruh. You were either a kid that heavily fucked with Disney Channel, or you were a kid that heavily fucked with Nick, or you were in between. But if you were in between, the people from both camps, they'd be like, bro, what the fuck is wrong with you, bro? It's either this side or the highway, period.
She basically acts the same way. Outspoken, very smart, and she has like this love-hate relationship with Jordan. The thing I don't like about her character though is how they have her chasing around Tony. She just makes jokes all the time trying to get towards him, and he never even pay her any mind. What you'll notice is that a lot of these shows love to do that too. People that society deems unattractive, okay? Tangy is a dark-skinned, bigger girl that maybe the cast members thought wasn't as attractive for Tony to even talk to. Y'all know I gotta get deep. That's just my thoughts. Now another thing I want to bring up is the dynamic between Jordan's sister, Monica, aka Momo, and his grandfather. I love it. He spoils her and has a very hard time telling her no. From having tea parties together, playing chess, their bond is unbreakable. Unfortunately, in the show, we don't see Jordan's father, so it's great to see that the grandfather is like, you know, the father presence. I wouldn't say that this show feeds into stereotypes at all because they tell you that the father was divorced. It wasn't like he was never in the picture. Jordan's mom in the show, though, she is very overprotective. Everything she does is just purely out of love and trying to protect Jordan. Nothing that is crazy. She isn't stereotypical. She's not sassy.
My bad, Jordan. Your mama look fine. Anyway, you hear me?
She drops
You hear
gems all
me?
the time, and at first she may seem like she doesn't understand you or she goes against what Jordan wants to do, but eventually she gives in and understands his point of view. I vividly remember this one episode where Jordan, like, he snuck and got a grill. His mom told him to get rid of it, and then it ends up getting stuck and it made his breath stink. The storyline was very familiar to things I've seen in my real life. My older brother, I remember growing up.
I ain't gonna lie, PSA, if you don't clean your grills consistently, your breath is going to smell like a 2-pack of metal ass cheeks. I just want you to know that, bro. I've been next to people who maybe didn't take as much good care of their grills as they should have. Dog, not only does that have horrible effects on like your mouth and your teeth, but it just makes your breath smell so tinny and garbage. Like, good Lord. So if you're gonna get grills, and if you're gonna make them permanent, do your fucking maintenance on them. Please. Please. You're gonna help yourself out and also help out the rest of the world because no one wants to smell that nasty ass breath, bro.
Man, he used to do a lot of dumb stuff. It reminded me of Jordan. But I remember distinctly, like, he snuck and got a grill one day, and he didn't tell my parents. They didn't get too mad, but it was like, so I can literally just see my real life into that show, man. I can relate to it. Anyways, the show was amazing to me. I hate the fact that it was so short. It only had 29 episodes. This is all for a reason, though. Because of the 2007-2008 writer's strike, Just Jordan got cut. They were actually in the middle of producing and filming season 3 when the show ended up getting cut. Now, this is what the studio says, but Jordan, the actual actor, had this to say in real life. In a Facebook post, Jordan stated the following: Just Jordan got canceled. I ain't giving up no ass. With everything that was happening behind the scenes at Nick with Dan Schneider and all this other stuff, it's hard not to believe this. Jordan ended up having a great life anyway. He went to college, still
That nigga Dan Schneider had an everlasting horrible effect on Nick. And it was like every childhood show that you remember from Nickelodeon, Dan Schneider had his hand in it in some sort of way. Whether it was the iCarlys, the Zoe 101s, the Victoriouses, the Sam and Cats, the everything, even down to like some of the kids shows too. And when you really start looking at these shows and go back to them and you see some of the shit that was going on, you'd be like, what the fucking hell? Like the fact that for some weird reason, every Nickelodeon show that I watched, somehow like there'd be an episode where these motherfuckers were showing their feet. When you look back at that, Dan Schneider put that in there for a reason, bro. Freaky ass nigga like him, yeah. And To be honest, shoot, I might even make my own in-depth video about fucking Dan Snyder, because that nigga, ooh. I hope he's behind bars now. He's probably not, but I hope he is.
Starred in some films here and now, and just by taking a look at his social media, he's living a happy and healthy life. What you will notice is that these really big, child stars, once they get older, they've lost their minds, strung out on drugs. So I'm very happy that my boy was able to get out and, be the bright person that we remember him as. Now,
it's weird. All the actors that were really, really up when I was a kid, they've all like crashed and burned now. But all of the like low key actors that I remember, their lives are cool. They thriving, they thriving and surviving, man. It's weird. I feel like maybe it's because they didn't get as much fame as their co-star, and they were able to maneuver through life differently and for the better. Whereas their co-star, who got a bunch of fame, super, super young, didn't know how to manage it, didn't know how to control themselves during it. And as a result, they got fucked over.
I want to add to this list is True Jackson VP. I know a bunch of my Gen Zs remember this one now. This isn't necessarily a black show, but the lead is a black woman and the cast is very diverse. Airing from 2008 to 2011, this series follows True Jackson, played by Keke Palmer, a confident and creative 15-year-old girl from Brooklyn who unexpectedly becomes the vice president of youth apparel at a major fashion company called Mad Style. Now, this show was a little fuzzy in my mind. I watched it and I'm very aware of it, but for some reason, I just can't remember a lot of the episodes. But with this show, you can truly see the direction that Nick was going. The cast wasn't
I want to know where I
black
can rewatch this again, man.
White people were becoming the majority. And this was because Nick numbers were now up. They didn't need black people anymore. So True Jackson VP was the last black show of my era that I can vividly remember. That's it for this video, man. I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know some shows that I missed. Like I said,
shout out to Antonio for this video. One show that I think he might have missed. This isn't from like Nick though. This is a Nick only video, so I don't know if he'd mentioned this, but man, Disney had Ant Farm, which had a bunch of black characters in it. What else can I think of that like 2010s era? I don't know, but man, shout out Antonio for this video. Dog, I need people to stop using us, using our culture, using our likeness, using all of that, and then as soon as they get some clout, as soon as they are able to satiate themselves, they just drop everything. They drop the culture, drop all of that like it ain't even exist, bro. Doing the fucking Post Malone method. I need motherfuckers to stop doing that. Or what we need to do as black people, we need to start gatekeeping the fuck out of our culture. I'm not gonna lie. We need to start gatekeeping shit. I don't give a fuck. Start gatekeeping songs, start gatekeeping artists, start gatekeeping the fuck out of our shit, because it's our shit. Our shit was always deemed as ghetto and unpopular and all of this until a white person or a person of another color decided to do it, take it our swags, take it our likeness, take it all of that, until they got them clouded out, and then they dropped it. They completely dropped it. So this year, 2026 and beyond, we are gatekeeping shit like Kawhi. I don't give a fuck. At least me, I'm gatekeeping shit because I'm tired. I'm sick and tired of people using our culture for their own benefit. I'm tired of that shit. But let me know what y'all think about this in the comments. Was Nick better during the Black Era? If I'm gonna be honest, yeah. Even though I wasn't around for that era, looking at those shows were super entertaining. And I would be real, and this is facts for me and all of the Gen Z kids. After 2014 / maybe slightly 2015, Disney Channel, Nick, Disney XD, Nicktoons, all that shit died. That shit died. The last good Disney Channel show that I can remember was fucking Andy Mack. The last Nick show that I remember vividly watching consistently in like 2015, 2016 was that one show where that girl was a robot. I forgot her name, and I'm pretty sure I'll pop her up on the... Oh, no, it was called I Am Frankie. That was the last good Nick show that I remember watching consistently. After that, Nick and Disney Channel died. Look at their ratings, look at their views now, look at the fact that no one even has cable anymore. people originally, a lot of people got cable because of Disney and Nick. But now that shit's dead completely. But yeah, love y'all so much. Marso Mafia the gang, Marso Mob the squad. And I'm gonna see you in the next video. Live, laugh, and love being black. And don't let any of these culture vulture ass niggas take our shit again. Deuces.